developing countries, said Premier of Sarawak Datuk Petinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tunopeng.
This in turn would contribute to the growth of Sarawak gross domestic product GDP by encouraging jobs and having other direct and indirect economic effects in the service sector. The concept of using museum as a stimulus for the growth of the cultural economy is a proven concept and has bred success, thus becoming more popular in developed and developing countries.
Uzbekistan's ambassador to Malaysia, Ravshan Usmanov, expressed the country's deep interest in forging cooperation with Sarawak on the basis of traditional friendship and will look into further strengthening its mutually beneficial cooperation in 3 economy pillars, including trade and investment, education and tourism spheres.
First of all, the purpose of my visit to Sarawak is to know Sarawak well, to also find the common ground between your state and also my country. From my own vision, we have already common points of partnership, possible partnership. It is in trade, it is in education, and of course in tourism. And we have plans to make contacts and twin cities or twin partnership between Kuching and one of the cities in Uzbekistan, and also between Sarawak and one of the regions of my country, which is called Karakalpakstan.
Adding further, he said that Uzbekistan and Sarawak possess many similarities, especially in the administrative structure.
Karakalpakstan, this is the region in Uzbekistan which has semi-autonomy, and the structure, the administrative structure, is similar to Sarawak. So I hope that this cooperation will happen. And by the way, the distance between Tashkent, it's the capital of Uzbekistan, and Nukus, this is the capital of Karakalpak, is the same distance as between Kuching and KL. So we have many things in common, and I hope this cooperation will come true.
He said so when met by reporters after a courtesy visit to the Yang di-Pertuan Negeri Sarawak Tun Pehin Sri Abdul Taib Mahmud at his residence in Demak Jaya on Friday.
And now on to the next update. Police successfully busted Gang Kong for a series of alleged break-ins, robbery and thefts. Kuching District Police Chief ACP Asman Bada said there were 4 suspects. Among them are a 15-year-old teenager and a 20-year-old who is believed to be the gang's leader. Asman added that 2 of the suspects had past criminal records.
Semua mereka ada rekod. Ketua kumpulannya sendiri yang dikenali sebagai Kong berumur 20 tahun, mempunyai 5 rekod lampau. Kemudian seorang lagi berumur 21 pun ada rekod 2 kes. Yang pemilik bengkel haram 63 tahun mempunyai rekod 5 kes. Manakala yang salah juvana tiada rekod.
Among the items seized by the police were 3 motorcycles, a helmet, gloves, bolt cutters, machetes, penknife, pliers, wires and a lighter that was modified into a blowtorch.
Selain itu, ketua kumpulan ni, Kong, positif saringan urin yang kita buat. Hasil daripada lumpuhnya geng Kong ini, kita berjaya menyelesaikan 20 kes melibatkan kegiatan pecah kedai-kedai dobi 24 jam, kedai-kedai vending machine dan juga pecah rumah dan kilang di kawasan daerah Kuching.
All of the suspects are currently under remand until March 7 for investigations under Section 457 of the Penal Code and Section 6(1) of the Corrosive and Explosive Substances and Offensive Weapons Act 1958. The state government has pledged to always give their full support to two state football teams, namely Sarawak United FC and Kuching City FC. Minister of Youth, Sports and Entrepreneur Development, Datuk Sri Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah said the support given are in terms of financial support as well as providing top-tier training facilities.
Karim said although both teams are considered private clubs, the state government will still give their full support as the clubs carries the pride of Sarawak's football.
It is my hope to see all the players of Sarawak United FC to give their full dedication and with the aim to win every matches that they are going to play, whether it is going to be in Sarawak or whether they are going to play away.
Karim said this at the launch of Sarawak United FC's team jersey on Thursday night. The strength Sarawak United FC squad this year is added with two new import players, Francis Cone from Ivory Coast and Boris Scott from Cambodia. Sarawak United FC will begin its campaign in the Super League tonight against Kedah Darul Aman FC with home advantage.
On the other hand, a jobless man suspected of murdering his friend during a Langkau session or a drinking session on March 3rd was found to be an illegal immigrant staying in Cebu for about 20 years without a valid identification card or passport.
Further investigation found that the suspect hailed from Kalimantan, Indonesia. Acting Cebu Police Chief Superintendent Dr. Colin Babat said the suspect has been remanded for 14 days under Section 6(1)(c) of the Immigration Act 1959/63. Meanwhile, the murder victim was a 44-year-old man from Roban. According to an earlier news report, Acting Cebu Police Chief Superintendent Dr. Colin Babat said a fight broke out between the deceased and the suspect while they were having a Langkau session or a local brut liquor at an abandoned building at Jalan Chama on the afternoon of March 2nd. During the drinking session, a dispute happened and the deceased said that he wanted to kill the suspect. Thus, the suspect grabbed a blunt object and struck the deceased on the head. The suspect then surrendered himself to the police shortly after. Meanwhile, an autopsy report will be done to identify the cause of the death.
The Sacred Heart Chapel of Sarawak Heart Centre, the first chapel of its kind in Sarawak within a hospital compound, enacts the spirit of unity in diversity, mutual respect and acceptance among the community in Sarawak to be a notable example for the world. Assistant Director of Sarawak Heart Centre, Roy G. Fender Antusa, who is also the chairman of Sacred Heart, said that the establishment of this facility will be well equipped to benefit all parties at Sarawak Heart Centre.
Dengan adanya chapel ini, pesakit dan staf di Pusat Jantung Sarawak ini dapat menjalankan aktiviti misa, sembahyang dan juga aktiviti penyembuhan tuan-tuan dan perempuan. Selain daripada itu juga fasiliti kita ini, chapel Sacred Heart ini adalah wheelchair friendly, di mana kita dapat sakit kita pun kalau kita macam misa mereka dapat masuklah ya untuk sama-sama dengan kita ya.
When somebody is sick, especially now pandemic, it doesn't matter what race, what religion, we all need a place to pray. And so at least for here, this chapel with a place here that for Christian, other group can come in here. And then also there's a surau, so every religion have a place to pray. And to also give a sense of emotional support and above all spiritual support also while the hospital provides the physical and medical healing for the person.
Meanwhile, the chapel was blessed and officiated by Dr. Simon Poh, Archbishop of Kuching, who described it as a model for the whole country. Also present was Sarawak Heart Centre Director Dr. Muhammad Asri Rifin, Sarawak Unit for Other Religions or Unit 4 President Richard Lon, and Assistant Director of Sarawak Heart Centre Roy G. Fender Antusa. The Sacred Heart Chapel will be open to the public daily from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Hai, siapa kata makeup artis boleh jadi host? Kini Tok kami dah bagilah host. Jadi kepada anda mesti nak tahu rancangan apakah? Jadi kami nak tunjuk yang kita orang rancangan apa yang kami jadi host. Kepada anda di rumah, kami Odin Syam dalam rancangan yang terbaru di TVS. Kedai kita hashtag kami jual, kita beli. Love.
Nak tahu di mana staycation best kali ni? Jangan lupa saksikan Staycation with Fatah setiap Sabtu jam 1.15 petang hanya di TVS saluran 122 Astro dan My Freeview.
Remarkable Living returns with a new season. This time, putting the focus on lifestyle visionaries. This season will feature designs and lifestyle mavericks across the globe. With 40 stories in gastronomy, rare craftsmen, unique destination, and an exclusive peek into the lives of society's savvy collectors. Each episode will feature stories taking viewers on a journey across Asia and Europe. Don't miss Remarkable Living Season 2 every Saturday, 7:15 p.m. on TVS Channel 122, Astro and My Freeview.
Back to the Nightline with the COVID-19 development. The number of new COVID-19 cases in Sarawak has remained in the 4 digits as 1,333 cases reported today compared to 1,206 cases yesterday. The Sarawak State Disaster Management Committee, JPBN, in a statement informed that among the 3 districts that recorded triple-digit cases were Kuching with 450, followed by Cebu with 188 and Miri with 166. The increase in the number of new cases today brings the cumulative number of infections in Sarawak to 263,623. According to JPBN Sarawak, of the total new cases, 4 involved lung infections requiring oxygen and ventilators. 1 death was also reported today involving a 35-year-old woman in the Limbang division. Bukit Asset Assemblyman Chiang Jin-e gave assurance that all pork on sale at Cebu markets is safe for consumption as it is free from the African swine fever ASF. In fact, he said a comprehensive inspection was carried out before the meat is allowed to be sold in the market.
Our Sarawak government been paying very much attention on this, all right? We make sure that all the products, all right, all the pots being produced, it is safe to use by our rakyat. So we would like to urge, the Cebu people, don't worry, it is safe to use.
Cebu Assistant Veterinary Officer Anthony Janggu opined that all pork sold in Cebu market is also produced by licensed farmers.
Ladang-ladang yang menghantar babi untuk disembelih di rumah sembelih itu adalah dari 4 ladang Malaysia di sini, semua kita telah cek secara random. Jadi hanya satu yang itulah yang terjangkit, tapi kita sudah pakaikan semua lah. Jadi yang tidak Malaysian kita telah ambil darah sebelum dihantar sana, kita cek darah dulu, test it dulu. Kemudian apabila dia negatif, baru babi itu boleh dihantar ke SMG abattoir.
Adding further, he said farms infected with the ASF virus have been closed down and the livestock has been disposed of.
In a similar development, the Minister for Modernisation of Agriculture and Regional Development, Dr. Stephen Rundi Utom, called upon pig breeders to improve the biosecurity of their farms by ensuring the availability of facilities such as vehicle and foot dips and intact perimeter fences. He said this is to control the movement of the livestock, vehicles and individuals going in and out of their farm.
In addition, he said farmers are also reminded not to give food waste or kitchen waste to pigs and limit the entry of new animals without health status. Failure to report ASF infections to the State Veterinary Authority (DVS) will incur a fine of not more than 500 ringgit under Sarawak's ordinance under Section 32(2) of the Veterinary Public Health Ordinance 1999.
The Cabinet today agreed to implement the Mass Rapid Transit Line 3 MRT3 and improve the implementation of the Sabah-Sarawak Pan-Borneo Highway and flood mitigation projects. For that, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said priority would be given to local contractors, especially Bumiputras. Adding to that, the Prime Minister said this is also aimed to create business and job opportunities for Keluarga Malaysia or the Malaysian family, hence driving the country's economic development and growth. Meanwhile, Ismail Sabri said the government also agreed to go ahead with the implementation of 19 additional work packages of Sabah LPB covering a distance of 367 kilometers and a construction period of 5 years. He said the first phase of the Sabah LPB, which encompasses 15 packages, had seen 52% progress and was expected to be fully completed by October 2024. While the work progress of the first phase of Sarawak LPB, involving a 786-kilometre alignment, had reached 78%. To complement the Sarawak LPB, the government has also agreed to implement the Sarawak-Sabah Link Road or SSLR project and the Trans-Borneo Highway LTB project. The Human Resource Ministry will set up a National Placement Centre (NPC), a one-stop employment centre in each state in stages. Its Minister Datuk Seri M. Saravanan said the establishment of the NPC was announced by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob during the National Employment Council meeting on Thursday. Adding to that, he said NPC aims to support the government's effort in creating 600,000 job opportunities for Malaysians as announced in Budget 2022. Meanwhile, companies wanting to recruit workers could use the NPC to meet with job seekers, provide programs for skills training and development, as well as to offer internship placement. In addition, NPC would also provide facilities related to the recruitment process to facilitate employers and Malaysians, including meeting career counsellors to obtain career assessments, get more information to chart their career path, and attend skills development courses. Registration can be made on the My Future Jobs portal to gain wider access to employment opportunities nationwide. On Thursday, Ismail Sabri was reported to have said that the government was improving and empowering the employment ecosystem through the establishment of NPCS to monitor the success of each job application. The governments of Malaysia and Singapore have reached a mutual agreement on the expansion of the Vaccinated Travel Lane VTL initiative. Hence, beginning March 16, the VTL by air between Malaysia and Singapore is being expanded, including adding the Penang-Singapore air route.
Malaysia's Transport Minister Datuk Seri Wee Ka Siong in a statement said the VTL initiative will allow fully inoculated individuals travelling between Penang and Singapore and vice versa with participating airlines under the VTL without being required to quarantine upon arrival. Adding to that, we said the Penang-Singapore VTL will commence with 4 flights per day equally shared between participating airlines operating in Malaysia and Singapore, and the sale of VTL air tickets will begin as soon as possible. The VTL was first initiated between the Changi Airport and Kuala Lumpur International Airport route on November 29 last year and has served 82,906 arriving passengers from Singapore as of February 28, 2022. We said the VTL initiative had played an important role in strengthening flight connectivity between Malaysia and Singapore, whilst contributing to economic and commercial recovery between the two neighbours, particularly in the tourism sector, which had been impacted heavily by the COVID-19 pandemic. Further information on pre-departure and entry conditions to Malaysia can be accessed via the links provided.
A discussion will be held with the Ministry of Health MOH to implement a more relaxed standard operating procedure SOP for Ramadan Prayers, as the Ramadan month is only about 1 month away. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Religious Affairs, Dato' Idris Ahmad, said the SOP would be prepared based on the current COVID-19 situation in the country.
Idris promised yesterday that Tarawih prayers will be allowed in mosques and suraus across the country during Ramadan, based on a more flexible SOPs to be released later. He said this after the flagging off of the Musaadah Keluarga Malaysia Aid Mission for flood victims in the East Coast. Regarding the Musaadah Keluarga Malaysia Aid Mission, Idris said about 40 volunteers will distribute financial contributions and basic supplies to more than 20,000 flood victims in Kelantan and Terengganu with a special allocation of 3.77 million ringgit. He hoped that the assistance would ease the burden of those affected by the floods during these hard times. Continuous heavy rain since February 23rd has caused flooding in several districts in Terengganu and Kelantan.
Dan kadang-kadang kami nanya orang yang dah berumur pun, si tahu je apa pokok puding ya. Nah, ditunjuk ambil gambar si pun anangga.
Perkataan ajat dalam bahasa Iban membawa makna tarian lah sebenarnya.
Anda nak tahu apa yang terjadi dalam sejahtera Asia musim yang terbaru?
Lebih rancak, lebih meriah,
lebih menarik, lebih informatif, lebih banyak program baharu dan menarik.
Nak belajar? Nak tahu tempat menarik? Nak apa lagi?
Saya di sini lagi rancak berjalan.
Saksikan Sejahtera Asia musim yang baru
bersiaran setiap hari jam 7.30 pagi.
2-3 pusat berjalan dekat yang berekod keng-keng-keng. Jangan lupa untuk saksikan Ardin berlari dalam borak Taisi Peng.
Jangan lupa untuk saksikan Ardin pada hari Jumaat hingga Ahad bermula pada jam 2.15 petang. Dan ada 3 segmen Ardin akan sajikan. Hanya di TVS, saluran 122 Astro dan My TV.
Misteri adalah sesuatu yang tidak dapat dijelaskan maupun diungkai.
Thank you for staying with me. And now on to our world affairs. As Russian troops closed in on Ukraine's capital Kiev, as workers from a local construction company prepared anti-tank obstacles to be placed on roads. Instead of homes and offices, they were making giant metal anti-tank barricades known as hedgehogs and smaller spiked barriers aimed at stopping wheeled vehicles. After Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24, Khan, a large local property company, reinvented itself to help the defenses of the city of 3.4 million people. It is another example of how Ukrainian civilians are supporting regular troops as they try to repel Russia's advance, including through civil defense units and independent militia that have formed across the country. Heavy equipment was brought in to build concrete checkpoints, blocking positions and bunkers inside the city and along all major roads and in the suburbs. Workers cut long pieces of girder using blowtorches and angle grinders, welding them together into triangular barriers used to bolster fortifications and slow the movement of tanks and tracked armored personnel carriers. Russia has captured one Ukrainian city so far, the southern Dnipro River port of Kherson, and has bombarded others with increasing intensity, including Kiev and the country's second city, Kharkiv. The number of refugees who have fled Ukraine rose to more than 1 million, while hundreds of Russian soldiers and Ukrainian civilians have been killed, and Russia itself has been plunged into isolation never before experienced by an economy of such size. And that update concludes TVS Nightline for tonight. And as always, thank you for tuning in to your local news tonight. Here with me, Shortamato, and I'll see you next time. Have a good weekend.